It felt like an eternity. Oh my God. Day 13 of the cut vlog. We got lower one today. This is going to be the last week of the cut. I'm happy with where my body composition is at present, and I'm ready to get into a push phase. So the next bit of this vlog will no longer be the cut vlog, obviously. I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet. If you got any ideas, let me know. But yeah, I'm happy with where my body composition is at. I've got some lines back in my glutes. Body weight, really, I'm 226, I think 225 on average. And my condition is at where it was at previously at 214, 215. So I'm very happy with that. And I feel confident in this as a start point for the push. Generally, you want to be nice and lean before you start a bulk, a push, whatever you want to call it. Get your body nice and lean, nice and sensitive to food, and that gives you a lot of runway with how much body fat you can put on and how much food you can push before you need to pull back. So I'm in a pretty good spot, and I'm really excited to grow. Really excited to grow. My training volume outside of arms is very low. My food is not super low. My body composition is in a great spot. But I've taken the time to put myself in a position from which I can be very productive. Getting into the first movement of this lower one today, I've got leg extensions, 2 sets, 15 to 20 reps, and then moving into lying hamstring curls and barbell squat. This week is supposed to be a deload week of sorts for my compound movements, the barbell squat, bench press, and deadlift at 50%. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the next week because I don't need the deload. I feel okay. I had a couple days where I was feeling a little bit rough, but I spent some time really just stretching and breaking my body free. And it was more so that I was feeling really stiff, not beat up, but just, like the Tin Man. I took some time the last couple days to really get in and stretch and do some really, really deep mobility work. And it makes a world of a difference. Had gotten away from that. It's just a reminder that I have to stay on top of it. So I'm not going to take that deload week. I don't need it. I'm going to jump right into the next progression week. This program started at 5x5 for 60%. So now this week I'm back to 5x5, but it's at 70%. For squats, I also made an audible two weeks in where I adjusted my 1 rep max up because I started with a really conservative 1 rep max on barbell squats intentionally. Now getting into this week, 5x5, 70%, 205 pounds. So it's honestly still really, really light, but on the note of patience, my patience will pay off. Just watch. And I know it's boring for me. Sometimes it feels like I'm not doing enough, but I know how to build the base, and I'm trying to build it the right way. So let's see what we got. Ew. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, oh, shit. One more rep than last week. Fantastic. Same load, one more rep than last week on that first set. Leg extensions are something that they're an exercise that I'm not necessarily trying to really push progression on. I think of them more as a pre-fatigue, warm up the knees, blood flow type movement. If you lose sight of that, if you just get load drunk, I think you lose a lot of what you get out of it, or what you can get out of a leg extension. So with that being said, I'm still trying to eat up what little progressions that I can, but I'm not really, if it's there, I'll take it. Just put it that way. If it's there, I'll take it, but I'm not trying to just absolutely grind. What's strange is for me, but what happens for me, or what I mean to say is it might look easy sometimes, but I don't know if it's my muscle fiber types or the composition of the muscle fibers that I have, but when I approach failure, it happens very fast. I might have one slow rep before I hit failure. It happens happens really, really fast for me, where some people can really grind through several reps. What I'm gonna do on this next set, I'm actually going to rest pause to match the 16 reps that I got on that first set. So say I get 13 reps on the second set, rest pause another 3 to match the 16. Boo. Boo. 3. Oh. Ah. Hey. Ah. Hey. Ah. 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 Oh. Ooh. Shut it down. I'll do 2 more. About 10 deep breaths of air. Mm. Mm. Oh. Ooh. Lying leg curls. I'm feeling pretty strong on these today. See what we can come up with. 10 reps here, 10 or more. All right. Do. 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 That's it. I was all over the place on that set. I got to get something else for hamstrings. This machine, I can just never really quite feel completely stable and locked in. So like I curl and it's like I feel more pressure on one side than the other. And so I'm like trying to adjust in the middle of the set and shit. I mean, I've got the glute ham raise, which is pretty good, but there's limitations with that. The glute ham raise is really fucking hard, which is great, but I want to get a high quality seated leg curl. For leg extensions, I don't mind this at all. But for leg curls, I want to try to find something on Facebook Marketplace and get a dedicated seated hamstring curl machine. So I just got to keep my eyes peeled and trying to get that in. Another option would be checking out Alibaba or trying to find just a Chinese manufacturer, because you can get some fairly decent looking. There's a guy that I talked to on Instagram that has a bunch of Chinese knockoff equipment and says overall like it's pretty decent. So that's something that I've been considering, because there's a big price difference between buying some of that stuff and even buying, you know, a used piece of equipment that is a brand name, you know. So rest a little bit. Got one more like that. All right, gonna see if I can't clean it up a little bit on this set. And it might not have externally looked like it was sloppy, but I was all over the place. Breathe. Oh. Oh, shit. Not much better, but a little. All right, we got squats. Squats. 5 sets of 5 here. 205 pounds in the bar. I'm going to be able to burn through these pretty quick. I think I'll record the first set, and then I'm going to try a time lapse for the remaining sets. But pretty much just going to hit 5 reps. Might throw a little pause in at the bottom, rest a minute or less, and then get into the next set. getting into some leg press here. Got 2 sets. I'm gonna do top set, back off set. 20 on both of them. The back off set, be using a very close stance. The first set's gonna be close stance too, but second set will be very close stance with a yoga block between my knees. But on this first one, just loading a little bit heavier, shooting for 20 reps. Last week, got this weight for 17, so I'm just setting my sights on 20. We'll see. Ooh. Ooh. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Ah. Mm. Oh. Woo. Man, that last rep felt like it was just not moving. It felt like an eternity. Oh my God. Oh, good shit though. Back the weight off a little bit. Go for the second set. Last set here, yoga block. I think I went over this in one of the other videos, but I've got this yoga block between my knees because for years when I would do any sort of squat pattern, leg press, hack squat, barbell squat, I was really focused on rooting my feet into the ground, externally rotating my feet and my hips really hard and putting a lot of pressure onto the outside of my feet. So that's great if you're trying to lift the most weight possible, but not great if you are talking about developing the quad and maintaining mobility. So I'm trying to reestablish that connection with the inside edge of my foot, underneath the big toe, medial edge of the heel. And with that, I'm able to feel my quads in a very, very different way. I was a decently strong squatter, but I didn't have legs to reflect it. I was good at moving weight. Wasn't good at moving weight with my quads. So all of this is just me trying to get better at moving weight with the muscle. With this one too, what I do is I'm not super focused on how deep I'm going. I'm mostly just worried about keeping these contact points that I was talking about and keeping tension on my quads while doing so. Oh. Shit. All right. Ooh, my legs are smoked. That'll do it on leg press. All right. Legs are pumped. Quads are pumped. Got vascularity everywhere. And I'm gonna close it out. I've still got adductors on the menu, but I'm not gonna record that. That's boring stuff. Get that done, but close the video out here. Overall, pretty good lower body day. Last week of the cut. 3 more training sessions. I've got upper 1 in the middle of the week, lower 2, second lower body training session for the week, and then an arm day. And then that following week, man, hit the ground running. I'm pretty much gonna go with a 20% increase over my current calorie intake. So not crazy, but decent little jump. Start getting my body weight consistently trending up. Super excited to have all this come together. My strength is gonna be coming up. The food's gonna be coming up. Special supplements going in. Training volume's gonna be going up. Biggest thing for me is just making sure that I stay healthy in terms of my joints, my knees, my elbows. And that is a lot of why I just have to make sure that I am not letting my ego get the best of me and being patient with some of these movements, especially squat. That's the big one, so that I can keep my knees in in a good spot. Because at present, everything feels pretty fucking good. So just got to be patient. That's the name of the game. That's been the story of my life for the last couple of years, is patience. Finally at that point where I still have to be patient, but I have a feeling it's gonna start paying off. So close out the video. Thanks for watching. Drop me a like, drop me a comment. If you've got anything that you would like to see in these videos, anything you want me to touch on, leave me a comment. I do a weekly podcast with my buddy Joe Brooks. We drop that on every Wednesday. We do a Q&A, so I put questions up on my Instagram if you want to be involved in that. And find me on Instagram and watch out for my stories where I drop the question box. See you guys on the next one.